It had been 15 years since I left my wife, Miriam. 15 years since the betrayal, the heartbreak, the humiliation that made me pack a single suitcase and walk out the door, leaving behind the home, the life, and the person I had once thought was my soulmate. I had tried to move on, rebuild, and find peace, but a part of me had always wondered, had I done the right thing? Had I judged too harshly, or had I saved myself from a lifetime of lies? When I left, our son, Armin, was only 5 years old. He cried, begged me not to go, and clung to my leg as if I were his last anchor in a stormy sea. Miriam had tried to console him, claiming I was just leaving for work, but I knew the truth in her eyes. She didn't care about the pain I caused him. I had found her messages, hidden letters, and phone logs proving her affair with a man she called my everything. She had lied, cheated, and expected me to look the other way for the sake of appearances. I couldn't. I wouldn't. For years, I rebuilt my life quietly, a modest apartment, a steady job, and eventually, a small circle of friends who respected me and valued honesty. Armin grew up in Miriam's care, seeing me only on weekends or holidays. I loved him deeply, but the wedge between us caused by betrayal and time was always there. Life moved on, as it always does, with its small joys and quiet sorrows. I remarried eventually, cautiously, slowly learning to trust again. My new wife, Aisha, brought stability and warmth I hadn't felt in years, though the shadow of Miriam's betrayal lingered at the edges of my mind. Then came the call. "Dad, can we talk?" Armin's voice trembled, hesitant yet insistent. I hadn't heard that tone in years. It was 20 minutes before he arrived at my apartment. He looked older, taller, more confident than the boy I remembered, but his eyes carried the same intensity. Once he sat down, he leaned forward. "I need to tell you something. About Mom." I braced myself. For 15 years, I had imagined this conversation in my head hundreds of times, but nothing could truly prepare me for the reality. "I know what happened," he said softly. "All these years, I thought it was your fault too. That maybe you didn't try hard enough to fix things. But now I know the truth. Mom wasn't faithful. She left because she wanted someone else. And I'm sorry for believing her over you." My heart clenched. 15 years of guilt, self-doubt, and questions about my decisions came crashing down in that single moment. Armand continued, voice shaking, but growing stronger. "I've seen messages, emails, and some old letters she left behind. I never showed you because I didn't know how. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. You weren't the villain. You were the one who stayed true." Tears welled up in my eyes, not from anger, not from triumph, but from relief. Relief that the burden I had carried for so long, the guilt, the whispers of doubt, was lifted. My son, the boy I had loved and nurtured despite the distance, finally saw the truth. We spent hours talking that day, recounting memories, sharing pain, and healing in a way that had been impossible for years. Armin told me about the subtle ways he had pieced things together, the secret calls, the hidden receipts, the inconsistencies in Miriam's stories. He realized the betrayal was hers, not mine. Over the next few weeks, our bond deepened in ways I had never imagined. 15 years of distance, of forced separation, melted away as we rebuilt trust and love. I finally understood that while I had lost time, I had never lost my place in his heart. The revelation didn't change the past. Miriam's betrayal remained a scar, a lesson etched into my life, but it changed the present. It allowed me to forgive myself for leaving, to recognize that walking away had been the act of a man who valued honesty and integrity over comfort and pretense. It also taught me something profound. The truth has a way of surfacing, even after decades. Time can hide it, distance can obscure it, but eventually, the truth finds its way, often through the eyes of those we least expect, our children, who can see beyond the lies and understand what really happened. By the end of that conversation, I felt lighter than I had in years. 15 years of grief, confusion, and self-recrimination had finally found closure. My son and I were not just co-parents or distant figures in each other's lives. We were family again, bonded by honesty, resilience, and the ultimate revelation of truth. And for the first time in 15 years, I could finally let go of the past, not out of bitterness or revenge, but out of understanding and peace. Sometimes, the deepest betrayals leave scars that only time can reveal, and the hardest truths are spoken years later by those who see clearly what we could not. In that moment, I realized something. Leaving her had been painful, yes, but it had saved me from a lifetime of deceit. And my son's revelation proved that even the most painful decisions can lead to eventual redemption.